Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. I need love, I need love, I need love. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down. I need love, I need love. Keep me safe, keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. Hey, folks. Give me a sec here, just saving some stuff from. Why is there two of these? Guess I'll just try one for now. Wait, what? What did I say that? Yeah, we can talk about some basic points of Wakanda Forever, I guess. I won't try not to give away too many major things, but I just watched it for the second time tonight. Still great. Still made me cry. Like, I really thought I wasn't going to cry, and then it was like, nope, just kidding. Hello, sunnies everywhere. Manfred. Martin. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for being a part of these lives. Working on my Game of Thrones file. Alright, hurry up and age up the other kid. Yeah, I would agree with that. He definitely kicked off the conflict of the first Black Panther. Okay, I need to fix this family. I got a little ahead of myself. I think the biggest issue is like not just that he did what he did, but that he like uh didn't that he didn't tell his family about that. Like, you know, maybe T'Challa should have known that he had a cousin before things had escalated. Then he had who did he have? Manfred, and then they had Martin and Morgan. I don't remember off the top of my head what his name was. I know that Killmonger's Wakandan name was Njobu, but I don't remember what his dad's name was. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. There we go. Yeah, no, it was terrible. And to leave Killmonger was dumb because it's like at the very least take him back to Wakanda with you. I mean, you're just gonna orphan this kid. Like it was a strange choice. It definitely wasn't the right way. I mean, I think what if showed us that maybe Killmonger probably would have been an asshole no matter what had happened, but that definitely didn't help. Okay. He needs to be very serious. Hey, JJ. This is my big Game of Thrones file. I'm trying to line up some families to the timeline. I wish they didn't like make what if tie in with the greater universe or whatever the hell they were doing at the end of it. Like I liked it when it was just like random one-off episodes. Not everything has to tie into this big narrative. Oh, I forgot to change her outfit. Oops, I gotta go back. She can't walk around with that topless thing. Damn it. I tell you what, can we change who she's related to? I think we can. I'll go to my sandbox file in a minute. Okay, what next stuff on? Alright. Let's transition over to some games. I tend to get more people on Saturdays anyway. Okay. 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 haven't played Survive the Internet in a while. Yeah, let's start with Survive the Internet. Whew, I'm cold. Boo. You guys want to see a random Christmas gift that TikTok gave me? They gave me a box of 31 gifts to open during the days leading up to the end of the year. But they took me off the creator fund, so I am not working for free. So fuck them. Here's one of the gifts they gave. It's a magnetic bookmark with like, comment, save, and share. Quality. TikTok coaster. That's okay. I got the last laugh. I have a TikTok. They spent a whole 25 cents. It's okay. I got the last laugh. Acquiring a TikTok pillow at a meetup. We need a few more people to join. Well, okay, I'll give it another minute or two, but if nobody joins, we'll just have to call it because we can't play with two people. Yeah, you can do it via laptop. Okay, I'll go ahead and start. Keyboard cat. Yeah, I can guess. You should be seeing something. Do you not see anything? Yeah. Charmin headquarters? That makes sense. basically you're trying to take what somebody said out of context. Like, they smelled of onions and rancid milk. I said that when I checked into Comic-Con. Ooh! We can play Among Us. That could be fun, yeah. You're not getting audio? Oh, hang on. There you go. Sorry, I
I
didn't
hope
realize
this
y'all didn't have
inspires
audio.
you. Take this quote out of context so it makes its author look ridiculous.
You hear it now?
Is anyone else's heart racing right now?
Oh, God.
Vote for the comment you think looks the most absurd. Let's see who got the votes. Yeah, I can see why people voted for that.
Rip.
Let's see what that round did to things.
I've been dethroned!
Let's switch things up and go to a social networking site. It's time to answer another prompt. I'd like you to really listen to your heart this time.
Gulp, 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 gulp.
All right, you know the drill. Okay, you knuckleheads, here we go.
White woman, a white woman's Instagram. White woman, a white woman's Instagram.
Do your civic duty and vote now. Here's what people think.
Oh, come on. I should have got more votes for that.
Oof. Let's check the scoreboard. Let's end things at a photo sharing site. And points are worth double this round. All right, here's your last prompt. You know what to do. the last round, so don't hold anything back.
The social media site only for Eddies. Eddie Munson stands would have a field day.
Gulp. It all comes down to this.
That's very accurate. Getting a lobotomy at a dentist office? That sounds scary.
Okay, go ahead and cast those ballots.
Whew.
Let's see how everybody voted. Well, that's something you can't unsee. Oh man, it all comes down to this.
Oof! Coming up from behind, Wiggleby.
Congrats. Let this moment really sink in.
Nice. Okay. Alright, let's play some Among Us. Hang on, let me switch the info. I am Worm, I Wiggles. Uh-huh. Oh, come back. What the hell is happening right now? Oh, sorry. Go away. Go away. The fuck? Ah, what the hell is happening? Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Okie doke. That way nobody can cheat. Alright. Let's see. Let's do one imposter for now. Okay. Still Apple? What the fuck? That's not my name. Shouldn't be my name anyway. Also, I get to be purple. I'm always purple. Pants. I got angry eyes. Alright. Oh, right. Duh. The code. Alright, I'll move my head up a little bit. Can you see it now? There we go. KDYCPG. Still Apple? What the fuck is that? What? I hate that. Why is my name still Apple? I don't like it. Nobody wants to play games with me tonight. You're entering C, or sorry, not C. KDYCPG. Oh yeah, make sure you're in the North American server. So I can put Discord up on that help. Hold me down. I need love, I need love, I need love. Keep me safe, safe and sound. I think it's like in the settings or like under a world icon at the beginning. It's been a while since I've done it. All right, I'll try it again. Try to start it again. One second. Okay. Oh, let me make sure I'm in the American server. Hold up. Yep. Yeah, there's a little world sign when you first go into the game. Alright. In the bottom corner. Alright, there we go. Okay, and the new code is OXJJGG. Much better. I'm the right color, and my name is correct. And I like to up the player speed just a couple of nooches. So we can go zoom, 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 zoom. Yeet. Oofy left the game. Come back, Oofy. Oh wait, now it works. I guess I was pressing the wrong button before. I think we're on the airship. Don't quote me though. We got fishy on. she here after year. I think I have confirm ejects on, but I have anonymous votes on as well. Alright, I'm gonna open up the game. See if we can get a few more people in here. Oh, hey. Okay, let's just get started, and we'll see if more people join after. I've never played Among Us on stream, because I wasn't sure how to do it without, like, letting people know, like, who you were, but I guess this is basically all you have to do, just as long as people can't see what you're doing. I got professional angry eyes. Okay, let's see. Vision. Oh yeah, I forgot you could do this. This is cool. Oh. Oh no, not red. Do we have any thoughts? PGQ was the imposter. Rip. That was a very quick game. Alright, let's try it again. Yeah, they've changed the vibes of the game. You can even add friends now. Interesting. Keep track of who you recently played with. Plunger, eyeball, cowboy hat. What if I were a little me on top of my own self? I'm angry, and I have a little me on my head. Can people hear me? Oops, there you go. Oh no, that's not what I want. Output. Input, yes. Output. Output. No. Input. Wait, output? Yes. Speaking out, yeah. Alright. Do not tell me to start. I hate it when people spam start. I will start when I want to start. Leave me alone. Alright. Let's go. I realize that the desktop audio might give some stuff away, so I'm turning it off for now. Where's... I can't do it. There we go. Okay. Oh no, how do I get... No! Somebody sabotaged us. The door's locked. Fuck. How do you even get... I don't understand. How do you even get to where it is? Clearly I'm not the only one who's confused. We're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Oh, fuck. I'm not super familiar with this map. Do we have to get through here somehow? Oh, no! No! How could I be the first to fall? R.I.P. me. First of all, I will go down with this ship, and I will learn something forever. Oh no, yellow! Bye bye, yellow! Oh no, they were not the imposter. Rip. Well, now that I'm a ghost, I guess I'll just keep doing my work. What a depressing afterlife that would be if you still had to do your job. How far off the map can I go? Interesting. No, Rip Peachy. We knew you well. Rip. Booty is censored? Fucking Rip. Even if I... Oh my goodness. Alright, let's see who got the votes. Nobody. The game continues. Oh, I can turn censorship off. Okay. I was just testing it. And as apparently booty is a no-no word. Now, as I was doing, traveling through the walls, be a ghost, traveling through the walls, be a ghost, traveling down the halls, be a ghost, do all of your duties, be a ghost, and do not be moody. And how fast I can move as a ghost, and I can... Oh! Somebody dead! But I can't report a body, so... Rip. I love the dead chat. Liar! Meow. Let people say but. Well, let's see what the voting says. I'm like so tired, like the weirdest. We keep getting sabotaged. Did anybody get voted out that last round? Oh, can't help you with that, buddy. Rip. Off to do my last duty. I'm gonna die out here. Nobody's doing anything. Well, actually, I'm already dead, so I guess it doesn't matter. Why is C-May just standing there? We're gonna die. Are y'all trying? I guess the team is gonna lose. What the What? What? Did you freeze or something? Like, I don't understand. I can't believe y'all didn't pick red. You got bamboozled. Apparently pretty well. I don't know why everybody was just standing around waiting for the thing to go off, though. No, fuck. Go away. We can be speedy boys. I up the speeds. Speedy boys. Run with your little speedy boy legs. Speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy. Speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy, speedy boy. Speedy, speedy boy, boy. Speedy, speedy boy. Speedy, speedy boy, boy. Speedy, speedy boy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And around the bend, 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 and around the bend. Woo! Speedy boys! Speedy boys! Speedy boys! I got a little man. Oh, you got 3 U's. Hey. My children, don't talk to me or my son or my other son ever again. Hey, Garaya, we're playing some Among Us. Want to join? I'm not twinning him. Seriously left the game? Oh, best friends. Oh, it's a lot of fun. You can play it on mobile or thing. It is 10:42. I'll be right back. Hoop. And we back. Okay, hopefully that'll get some more people in. Zonks! It's Zonks! It's me and my twin in them. Oh, best friends, my twin in them. No friends, get rid of them. A plorbo! Cine, no! Oh, rip. Well, thank you so much for joining us. See you next time. Ooh. Hello, Smoit. Alright, that's a pretty good number. Let's go. you're playing League and you're an imperial slavist conqueror against a communist scientist. Is that all I have to do? Okay. Smart. Okay. I guess the the person who did it left the game. Rip. We got some beans. I don't really know what that means. No best friends, my tournament. No new friends, get rid of them. Shapeshifter? Is that even a thing? I haven't played this game in a while. Oh. Okay, we'll play one more game, I guess. That's fine. I mean, nobody's signing in, so I guess we're just gonna do with what we got. I hate their hands that come out of nowhere. That is so fucking weird. It's not! I refuse to be slandered like this. Thank you. Uh-oh. They weren't the... Then why were you trying to fuck me over? What now? Nobody's even died. This is racially motivated. I'm being slattered. Slandered. I meant to say slandered. Oh, thank goodness. I was gonna be real mad if they were. I was like, why do I keep getting slandered? I really was innocent. used to laugh. That's why I said the thing about the weird hand grips. Ah! I've been slandered and shamed. Innocent! I shall be vindicated. Alright, if nobody joins in a couple minutes, I'm just gonna move on. Tonight just doesn't seem to be a very active night for players. Which is interesting, because Saturdays are usually pretty active compared to Sundays. I mean, compared to Fridays. Yeah, we can do a different map, I guess. I actually think... I don't think I have to end the game. I think I could just change the map from here. Yeah, I changed the map. I'm streaming on 3 different platforms. Okay, finally. Well, never mind. Well, I changed the map, so... On the map, 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 on the map. I think we should do Polis? Would that be more popular? I haven't played in a long time. Alright, I'll give it 2 minutes. And then we'll move on. Gotta catch a cold from the ice inside your soul. Don't come back for me. Don't come back at all. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? The Twitch is delayed? How delayed? Okay, I'm gonna move on. That was a fun couple rounds. It's like 2 minutes delayed. That's weird. Hey, my day was pretty good. I went and saw Black Panther again. Really enjoyed it. Told myself I wasn't gonna cry, but that was wrong. Well, let's explore this. How was your day? Oh, 2 Sims games opened. I assumed this one just wasn't working. I did look up something the other day. Oh my god, nope. Jesus. They should say something about the. Let's go to AF3 for now. The prevalence of fucking slurs. Jesus Christ. Hey, thanks for the sub. Alright. Okay, let's look at. Let's see what if AF3 has any VeggieTales. Snowstorm lives. Graphic. Okay. How about start with VeggieTales Returns. Yeah, like I said, fanfic.net really was the wild one. Like I'm like, no. I just opened that fic and literally saw a slur within 3 seconds. I was like, no, we're not doing that again. I've had enough. Okay. Okay. VeggieTales seems more our speed. Okay. Oh, and you know what? I think I might have another crack fic. It's not really a crack fic, but it's self-published Amazon books. Hang on. I just want Kindle Unlimited. Like, huh? I just want the website. I want the store. I want the website. I know there's an online version of it. What the fuck? Hi, Ectoviolet. Yeah, I have Kindle Unlimited. Amazon makes it stupidly, weirdly hard to, like, log into their own sites. I have the same problem when I try to get on Prime Video sometimes. It just keeps wanting to redirect me to the actual site where you buy stuff, and that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Oh, World of Wakanda. I think I have that, actually. On-screen enemies? Oh, wait, okay. We're just kind of chilling, finding another crack fic to read, doing a little Sims. Oh, it's Trump and Obama. There, that's what I wanted. Okay, thank you. Yo, I can read this on Kindle Unlimited now? That's amazing. I will be revisiting that. Alright. But for now, let's go back to... VeggieTales. Bobby... Okay, sorry. This one is called... Let me go back to the title. It's called VeggieTales Return. Bob couldn't believe it. He was being wheeled away in a stretcher. He thought he was dead. He wasn't supposed to go to prison, so he tried to take his own life in the spot where Larry died. But Bob was still there. Wait, what? Now in the ambulance, everything began to seem fuzzy in Bob's mind. Everything rapidly falling apart. What was he to do now? Plead for his sentence to be the most severe? Bob could only wonder as he drifted off into the ambulance. He woke up in a simple white cloth bed, most standard ones in the emergency room. Looking around at his surroundings, he spotted a large window to his right and a table to his left. Out the window, the sun was just starting to go down, painting the hospital room a light red and orange. To the left, on the table side, the flowers... to the left on the flowers there had long been dead and were fainting in the vase. Bob wondered if he had left said flowers there. Surely not someone who knew what he did to Larry. I watched a lot of VeggieTales as well. It was pretty good, for what it was. Trying to move out of the bed, Bob realized he had an IV in his side. Pulling it out carefully, he whined at the pain, thinking it was similar to pulling a needle from the palm of a hand. Now, where exactly do you think they insert the IV on a tomato? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. He stood up on the floor near the window and peeked out. The sun was almost completely down by now. He looked into the courtyard with many doctors seemingly coming in. The night shift must be a major one in this place. Hearing someone down the hall, he quickly realized he had to hide or think of something quick. Why don't you just get back in the bed? The doctor and asparagus came into the room, checking on the patient. Bob, who had been hidden by the door opening, lunged at the doctor. Lunged at the doctor. The doctor couldn't call for help even if he tried. Bob had already put a needle through his mouth, which severed his vocal cord. I don't think that's how that works. Why does it always escalate to this absurd violence out of nowhere? Okay, trying to reach up for anything, the doctor tried everything to just gasp for air, but Bob was 2 steps ahead. Taking a scalpel from behind, he made one quick move, and the doctor was gone. Again, what did he do this with? On VeggieTales, they didn't have hands, so stuff would just kind of levitate in front of them, so it's just like a flying little scalpel. Oh, jeez. He had done it. What would he do? It's not like he never knew when it would happen, yet there the doctor was, hollow and ready. Bob knew he couldn't just slip by the hospital staff unnoticed. He was one of the most wanted in the city now and could not be recognized. Why is he doing this? And also, was he suspected of a crime? Because usually if a criminal is taken to the hospital, they still handcuff you to the bed. I don't know how that would work with the tomato, but I'm just saying, why isn't there anybody watching him? This was the one and only way. Taking a deep breath, Bob the tomato stepped into the fresh, hollowed doctor and closed him up. I don't know how. He looked okay. The doctors wouldn't be looking close enough to notice the bruising skin on the outside. He had to be quick. What? So he said the doctor was an asparagus. So he crawled into the body of an asparagus? How? What? He opened the door, stepped into the hallway for the first time. Bob looked down the hall, trying to spot any sort of direction. He saw it. Exit 7, down the hall. He began making his way down the hall, but he heard someone. Something, perhaps. The steps grew louder and louder, closer to him. What could they have been keeping here, Bob thought. Then it hit him. All his theories and beliefs had been right. The town was rotten, and as he turned the corner, Bob could see it. Several vegetables clumped together in a fleshy mess, groaning and crying together at once. It stumbled towards Bob, seemingly hungry. There's no context for any of this, and the story's almost over. What? Alarms blared, and the creature became even more aggressive. Quickly thinking, Bob managed to get out of his suit, bolting in the opposite direction the creature was in. The suit must have been a source of food for it, because when Bob looked back, he got out of the suit, as in the flesh suit that he just put on. When Bob looked back, he saw mouths pulling and ripping it apart, crying and sobbing out for it. Bob had to run. He stumbled to run, the creature just behind him. He ran to a spare room on his left and bolted in. He had to find a way out. The creature was right outside the doorway, sobbing more and more. Bob got it, the window in this room. He had to break it. He grabbed the chair, throwing it into the window, but no success. Creature groaned even louder. Okay, this has to work, Bob thought. Grabbing a large vase on the table, Bob threw it at the glass. Success. A chair didn't break the window, but a vase did. He drove it out of the window, not checking to see where it led to. Drove what? Landing in a bush, he thought he was free now. But with the scientist distracted by the alarms, he could finally get away. He could start somewhere new, somewhere fresh, unrotten like this city. He took off running until he reached the outskirts of the city. He gets a cab, paying so much that he is in a new state by the next morning. Finally, with the hotel to himself, Bob can finally relax. Settling down his few belongings and clothes, he sat at the edge. When did you have time to have belongings and clothes? He sat at the edge of the hotel bed and pondered everything that had happened. With Larry, with Junior, what happened to Junior? With the hospital, or even with him. He had certainly gone too far. Now what? He wondered. Looking around the room for ideas, he spotted it. The television. He knew what had to be done. He was at the TV station the next morning explaining his idea. You see, it's a show on air for kids, teaching about God's stories. The studio seemed to like the idea, giving him the seal of approval. Bob gathered up cast members from all around the state, bringing in every kind of vegetable. Day one had started, and Bob gave everyone roles to fulfill today. Bob as well gave himself one role. Lunch duty. Poor Junior ran through Bob's mind. The cycle had started again. What in the fuck? What does it mean? What does it mean? Ah! Like what? I love this comment. I'm absolutely enamored by the story you've built here. Bob's need to kill goes unnoticed by many viewers, but it's actually a necessary survival tactic for tomatoes, who are viewed as okay for consumption. An example being Pizza Angel, wherein Larry mentions tomato sauce. That's true. That is a lyric in that song. Kudos for picking up on that and expanding on it. The writing feels hard and white and smooth like a tile floor. Just a matter-of-fact account without fluff. It works. Really helps the reader into the desperate and bleak state of mind that Bob is in. Overall, 10 out of 10 was worth the deaths. There's no other chapters, there's no other context. That is all you get. God. I just realized my glasses are super stained. Because I was crying tears earlier today when I watched Black Panther again. I thought I wouldn't cry, but I was wrong. I cried multiple times. The deep VeggieTales lore. In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little. Listen, Ratatouille had no business spitting like that. I mean, it is, compellingly written. Kudos, even though that was confusing. Let's see if there's any Arthur fanfics. What do you guys think? Arthur? Like, PBS Arthur? I feel like I'm gonna need to be a little bit more specific. Hang on a second. If I, like, maybe PBS? I don't know. Or, yeah. Arthur, like, from PBS. Because Arthur's too much of a... I loved Arthur when I was a kid. Like, that was my fucking show. Okay. Maybe... Okay, forget the tag. actually shown y'all my AO3 history. I don't actually have a whole lot on my AO3, but I actually yesterday I showed my fanfic.net history. That's where I really had history. I only had a few stories, but I didn't have any on AO3. Merlin? Oh, not okay. That's a different Arthur. Elwood. Okay, let's see. What's this one rated? When a hard drive containing, my favorite character growing up was Francine. I was always drawn to lesbian coded characters, which maybe should have been a clue about a few things. So I really was always drawn to like the boyish girls or the more like aggressive tomboyish characters. Like I loved my favorite pony was Rainbow Dash. My favorite Powerpuff Girl was Buttercup. I did like Sue Ellen too. I like some of the background. I like George a lot. He's so cute. I love George. He's one of my favorites. Double O Arthur. Is it like a spy thing? Hang on. The Arthur games. Let's see if there's any like archive warnings we can apply, because I really want something truly cursed. Are there any that will fit this description? If there isn't a bloody Arthur fic, then somebody needs to get working on that immediately. Oh! Yes, Fern is great. The Elwood City of Horrors. Okay, alright, there's a couple of interesting things here. This one hasn't been updated since 2020 and there's only one chapter. So, but I'll give it a shot. And then we've got this one, Bizarre Adventure. I'm worried that there are 10 rape non-con things under Arthur Timothy Reed. Like, what the fuck? I am so scared. Alright. Elwood City Horrors by Jesus Fuentes. Summary. What happens when an unknown horror takes hold of Elwood City, and the friends are forced to deal with a gruesome and unforgiving new reality? A series of time-hopping vignettes unfold to reveal the truth. Multiple POV. Elwood City Horrors. Better down below. Chapter 1, better down below. Okay. Francine awoke that crisp fall morning with a taste of blood in her mouth and a lump of dread in her throat. The autumn sun was pouring through her curtainless windows, illuminating the dark and filth she had tracked into her room last night. "Oh, God," she muttered, as she pulled back her blankets to reveal her just-a-sullied clothes. She changed quickly, leaving her torn jeans and a sweater in a pile on the floor before reaching for the hand-labeled jar of sickly smelling cream that her father had left on the nightstand, gingerly smearing some on the gash across her forehead and the bruises on her side. Yeah, this is compelling. A lump of dread in her throat. I mean, this is well written, man. I love a compelling fanfic, even if the subject matter is absolutely whack. In fact, nothing is better to me than a crack fic that's written really well. Like, that's why I wrote the Obomni fic, because I was like, man, you know what's funny? When you write a crack fic, and it's like fucking crazy, but it's written really well. Hang on a second. Oop. We do need some Mr. Ratburn. I want like a fluff fic with him and his husband. Because he has a husband now, canonically. And we always knew that Mr. Ratburn was that guy. Him being gay was not a big reveal. Okay. It's the beautiful dichotomy of reading a well-written crack fic. Sorry, I gotta get my engagement up. I am Merlin the Magician, and today we will be reading the story of Elwood City Horrors. Better Down Below is the first chapter. There's only one chapter, so hopefully it doesn't leave us too many cliffhangers. Let's go. Hey, hey! Okay, time to start. I'll start from the beginning. I'll read the first paragraph again. Francine awoke that crisp fall morning with a taste of blood in her mouth and a lump of dread in her throat. The autumn sun was pouring through her curtainless windows, illuminating the dirt and filth she had tracked into her room last night. Oh, God, she muttered, as she pulled back her blankets to reveal her just as sullied clothes. She changed quickly, leaving her torn jeans and a sweater in the pile on the floor, before reaching for a hand-labeled jar of sickly-smelling cream that her father had left on the nightstand, gingerly smearing some on the gash across her forehead and the bruises on her side. What an engaging way to begin the story. Ooh. Okay. Moving on. All right. So, the kitchen table was strewn with mechanical mathums. What? I love it when I learn a word. What is a mathum? It's a Hobbit term for anything that they had no use for but were unwilling to throw away. Are you kidding me? It's a fucking it's a Lord of the Rings reference. It's a Hobbit colloquialism. What? Okay, anyway. Mechanical mathums, lengths of pipe and wire, and jam jars full of nails and springs that jiggled and danced with delight as Oliver struggled to bore holes into a wooden stock, excuse me. You came past curfew, he said without looking up, biting his tongue as a jar scattered to the floor. I know. Francine wandered over to her mother and the pot she was tending, as Catherine roused from the couch to gather bowls. I'm afraid it's sorghum again, Laverne said, more to herself than anyone else, as she carried a pot to the table, brushing past Francine with a sense of cold reluctance. The silence in the family cleared away the the clutter and took turns filling their bowls. Sometime after, as the sound of scraping spoons began to rise in the room, Oliver spoke again. You know what that means, right, Frankie? His tone more gentle this time, as if trying to lead a forgetful child to the obvious conclusion they had missed. Yes, I know what it means, she said it with more force than required. A silent anger had been building up in her throat since she woke up, an anger at what she knew was about to happen. Her father would raise a hand to his brow and let out a sigh before telling her what she already knew. It means no more runs, no more bringing supplies to George, and no more getting away from this miserable fucking place. She slammed her bowl down with such force that the side cracked and fell away from her hands. For a second, her eyes filled with tears as she feebly tried to put them back together. I'm sorry, Mom. I know these were your favorite. Laverne stuttered as she tried to respond, but before she could, Oliver jumped to his feet, knocking the chair out from behind him. You broke the rules, Francine. We made a deal and you broke it. Not 6 months and you broke it. You think this is a game? You think I like the idea of leaving George alone or sending Kathy? I don't care! Francine screamed as she stepped backwards into the hallway, the lump in her throat pulsing with pain as the gash on her head pumped a new trickle of blood down her face. At least I'm willing to risk something to save someone I care about. If it were up to you, we would never leave the building and Buster would be dead. Buster? her father's face twisted from a barely controlled anger to profound confusion. Her father's face twisted from a very barely controlled anger to profound confusion, and then back again in a heartbeat. I think that is her real name in the show. uh, yeah, it's about Arthur. All right, anyway. Buster, her father's face twisted from a barely controlled anger to profound confusion, and then back again in a heartbeat. "You went to find Buster?" he roared, his face turning red as his fingernails picked at cracks in the tabletop. "I bet you don't even care what happened to him," she whispered. Okay, "I bet you don't even care what happened to him," she whispered, before turning on her heel and running into the room. Yeah, I was pretty sure. I know that Oliver and Catherine is correct, so I was pretty sure that Laverne was correct. I know, this is surprisingly well written. I'm like engaged. There's only one chapter. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to be left on a cliffhanger because it hasn't been updated in a couple of years. Exactly. This sounds like a post-apocalypse. I love this kind of shit, man. Of like putting Scooby-Doo gang in the apocalypse, making a dark post-apocalyptic version of like beloved childhood characters is so good. I love it. Oh, you know what? I just realized why nobody's coming. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. There we go. I forgot I went on private earlier this afternoon, so like nobody can find it. Now people can see the live. All right. Anyway, Francine began stuffing clothes and food into an old backpack she'd ripped from beneath her bed. She knew she might have 10 minutes before her mother had calmed her dad down enough to let him come talk to her. She wished she hadn't left her good backpack, the one filled with everything she would have needed, by the door when she came in last night, but it was too late to worry about that now. Yes, this is Arthur. You missed a surprisingly good build-up. So here we come. All right. Right now, it seems to be some kind of post-apocalyptic situation, and Francine just got into a fight with her dad. All right. She was throwing on her second-best coat and her old, two-broken-in Keds when she remembered her backpack wasn't the only thing she'd left at the door. No, she muttered as she tossed back the sheets and opened drawers on the nightstand, terror tearing at the back of her mind as she raced around the room. Her knife and her bat were nowhere to be found. More importantly, neither was her gun. Jesus Christ. Hey, here go crazy. But it got you to start. We're reading Arthur fan fiction, as in the cartoon with the aardvark. I think it's a post-apocalyptic zombie situation. Oh yeah, Francine absolutely should have had a bat mitzvah episode. I wish they had let them age a little bit. Oh, of course, they would have had to end the show a lot sooner. Anyway, can we talk about how her and Muffy are definitely dating in the last episode? Like, they come in together and it's just, there's just no way that they're not a thing. Anyway, she muttered as she tossed back the sheets and opened the drawers, blah, blah, blah. Neither was her gun. Now, calling it a gun might have been overkill. It was a 2-shot flare pistol she had brought just before a sailing trip with Muffy the summer before, mostly out of an irrational fear that the elderly ship the captain the Crosswires employed would die at sea. But nonetheless, it was better than nothing, and now that it was gone, she was at a loss. Doubling back across the room, she pulled a dusty box from her high shelf in her closet, and in her haste spilled it on the ground. As soon as she saw the ornately carved handle of the tool, she shoved it into her pants pocket, then grabbed a small hammer and a bag of nails from beside the window. It was fate that Catherine hadn't gotten to boarding it up yet. She knew there was no way she could make it out of the front door, and the window that led to the fire escape was twice boarded and sealed, so she decided to skirt the ledge from her window to the outside of the escape was the only choice she had. As she slid the pane of its against its rusty track with nervous care, she saw the scrawl of her father's writing on the ointment jar, reflected in the glass from where she had left it in her bed. She stared for a long moment before stuffing it into her pack and slipping out into the morning sun. Francine didn't have to think twice about where she was headed. Not only did her parents not know where George's hideout was, but Francine herself wasn't always entirely sure. George always seemed to appear when she was getting close, and never lingered long at the trap door that led to his abode. He'd say the idea came from a short story he read in school, The Finnegan. In and out, in again, out again, Finnegan, he had said, laughing to himself when he showed her the plans for it. A clubhouse so secret even its members can't find it. As much as it had been annoying to everyone in the beginning, it was a godsend now. She was a few paces past an old oak tree she used as a landmark in the woods when she came up from her thoughts. Taking a quick look around, she mumbled to herself. Left at the OK is a doke, or was it left as the okie is a no-K? Just when she had decided on the left, she heard a rustle of leaves. I don't know why you insist on rhyming your directions. Right at the oak is just so much easier to remember, George was chuckling to himself as he slipped from behind the thick maple and gestured her over, already walking in the right direction. This is way too interesting for an chapter for an Arthur one chapter crack fic. I agree. Let's see. It's confusing, okay? She retorted as she jogged after him, reshouldering her pack when she caught up. I wasn't expecting you today, he continued. Doesn't your dad like to space out your runs? Stay off routine so you don't get followed? I didn't make it home on time last night, she swallowed. We ran into some issues. At this, George turned around and finally noticed the state of her. Oh, Francine! A shroud of concern passed her face. He took her hand. Let's get you inside. Before she knew it, he had reached down and found an edge where there shouldn't have been one, lifting a perfect circle of forest floor to a set of wooden stairs leading down. George's hideout was what every other basement or dugout hole in the ground George's hideout was what every other basement or dugout hole in the ground failed to be, in Francine's opinion. Homey and inviting. I think they meant homey. They said homely, but that means something different. It was mostly one room, chiefly wood, and filled with work tables, half-finished projects, and found furniture. George deposited her on an understuffed chair and went about putting a pot to boil. What happened last night? Francine was taking off her pack and jacket as he set up a three-legged stool across from her and put a small medical kit on the end table. We would have come to get you, but we thought it was too risky. We didn't have time, and you know they come out to the woods at... He put up his hands. I know. They were here last night. You don't have to explain. Just tell me what happened to you. We got Buster. She let out a smile as she said it. And George got up to place cheesecloth in the pot and scrub his hands. I didn't think it would be so soon. Go on, he prompted. Well, after I made my run here in the morning, she continued, I went to Bitsy's house. She said she'd been watching the high school trying to figure out where they were taking the people they kidnapped. Buster wasn't kidnapped, Fran. George shook his head as he brought the cloths to the table and began cleaning the wounds on her face. Whatever, George. She pushed his hands aside briskly, causing him to drop one of them and frown. We both know Buster never would have gone in there if his head was on straight. Do you want to hear what happened or not? Please, he reassured. Just let me clean you up. Francine settled back into the chair and continued with a sigh. She got one of them. She wasn't careful enough, and they saw her snooping around in her car. Sent one of their creepy-ass goons to deal with her. I guess they didn't figure she would put up much of a fight. But she tased that shitbag before he knew what hit him. Ouch! Francine chuckled and winced at the same time, as George started to suture the wound. Hold still, he sing-songed, as he slowly brought a needle across the cut's other side. Yeah. When I got there, he was pretty beat up. But that was mostly because she had a hard time getting him from the car into the basement. Francine talked nonstop while George was stitching her head, and when he brought her ice for the bruises and willow bark for the pain, as she finally finished, As she finally finished, he tipped his stool back on two legs, balancing against his back against the wall and wiping his brow. You're lucky you got away with what little you did, but from the sounds of it, Buster isn't too appreciative of your sacrifice. Francine looked troubled as he spoke, and she leaned over to grab the ointment from her pack to spread a new layer on the freshly treated cut. He'll come around. He's with Bitsy, where he belongs. He'll come around. Well, until you're sure, it goes without saying, don't bring him here, or don't even tell him where you think here is. He smiled and winked at the last jab. What's in the jar? Something my dad whipped up. Here, she tossed him the jar. He didn't even bother with the label, opting to open it and smell its contents instead. Then he fumbled a notepad out of his apron and started writing while he slowly teased out the ingredients. Phenol, beeswax, witch hazel, camphor? As George puzzled over the jar, Francine stood, went over to a sink, and poured herself a glass of water from the ornate clay pitcher. She stared at herself in the small mirror that hung above the sink, grimacing before downing the glass. I can't go back. Now, Dad would never let me leave. He set aside the jar and stared at her. You can always stay here, Francine. It can't be much longer before... Before what, George? You've tried every band on that CB for months. No one is coming. We should have seen that. Yeah. Oh, thank you. What is hats off to you? Is it taking something? Is it putting a hat on? Or am I just the wig? Double wigs. I know, there's a lot of like great detail. Before what, George? You tried every band on that CB for months. No one is coming. We should have seen that. She said the last words at a bare whisper. We should have seen that. She said the last words at a bare whisper. She was thinking of the stories her grandfather used to tell, the signs of the dark times to come, how his people had ignored it, how most everyone did until it was too late. They had waited too long already. George threw his hands in the air and began to pace around the furniture. Well, what else can we do, Francine? We can't get out, can't call for help. Half of Elwood is captive, and the other is either dead or in hiding. She could see he was racked with anxiety as he wrung his hands and stepped back and forth. At least your parents are safe. You can stay here with me and wait it out, and we can fight! Francine pushed George onto the couch and picked her things up from the floor. I can't stand when you pace, she huffed. She threw on her coat and shouldered her bag. She stood over him as he heaved on the couch and stared up at her in confusion. What do you mean? I mean that I'm going to find people who will fight. We got Buster out because they didn't expect us. If we had 5 or even 10 people, we could make a run at them, get more out, and have a fighting chance. Looking around the room, she saw George's rack of tools, a few sturdy shelves. Don't say y'all on his mouth like liquor. A few sturdy shelves and piled with wood and steel, baskets containing goods for every craft or hobby you could think of. She knew he loved them all. You can make weapons. I'll bring you everything you need. She offered him a hand as he looked at her, bewildered and stunned, as he sat unmoving for several long and awkward moments before grasping it and looking around the room in a daze. Come on, George, she pleaded softly. We can't do nothing anymore. Okay, he said slowly as he shook his head. Then he stumbled back to his stool to pick up his notepad and scrawl out a list. You'll do it? She squealed and almost tore the paper from his hands. Yes, I'll do it, but I need as much of this as you can get. Francine quickly looked at the list and began to read its contents excitedly under her breath, before he took both of her hands and lowered them, arresting her attention with a burning gaze. Just don't get hurt. Thank you. It was almost a week. It was almost a week of trips to get everything he needed. Going early in the morning to the old hardware store, and to all the houses she knew were abandoned. Things like newspaper and sugar were easy. In fact, almost all of the items were things that anyone might have. It was the amounts that she had to find. 5 pounds of cayenne pepper, 10 bottles each of bleach and ammonia, packs of birthday balloons, and high-powered super soakers. She didn't understand the list, but she didn't have to. Francine hadn't spent this much time outside since before the takeover, and the constant crouching and looking over her shoulder had given her throbbing pain in her neck that seemed to only worsen with sleep. What was worse is it seemed to be for nothing. She hadn't seen even one of them since the rescue, but she'd felt them, like they were leaking from the cracks in the pavement and dripping from the faucets left part way on. She felt half crazy every time she did a double take, only to find a stuffed animal or a rake propped against a tree to be the one casting the shadow she feared. In all her time around town, she hadn't visited Bitsy once. She'd wanted to, but it was too risky, fearing her mere proximity would be like a beacon of misfortune. Instead, she comforted herself by looking into the kitchen window whenever she passed by. Bitsy almost never left the basement and kept an especially fragile Siberian orchard on the windowsill. As long as it was alive, Francine knew Bitsy was too. Today, she scored the mother load. She had put off going to Brain's house all week. She knew there would be things that George could use, but for some reason she felt wrong about it. But she pushed those feelings down and left the hideout when she left the hideout this morning. The sky was dark and the clouds were low and threatening. She knew she wouldn't have time for anything else before it rained, so she booked it there, being careful to skirt the main roads and use the back roads, yards instead of sidewalks. Thank you for subscribing. The window to the laundry room had been left open, so she crawled inside and headed straight to Alan's room. She knew exactly where to look. He had told her something once during free period, which he usually spent playing soccer one-on-one to burn time. He had been so excited about the chemistry set he had found in the flea market at the city. One from the 60s or 70s, he had guessed. Back before they had safety guidelines for kids. This thing has almost all the chemicals and components the high school has, although in smaller amounts. I know, right? More people should come. This is quality entertainment. I got a beard now. Alright, so back before they had safety guidelines. I'm also on Twitch, though, if you want to follow me there. Back before they had safety guidelines for kids, it has almost the same chemicals the high school has, just in smaller amounts. Brain's about to build a meth lab, perhaps. She knew he had it hidden in the back of his closet so his parents wouldn't find it. Not that they would have looked for it anyway. They had always trusted him. He was a good kid, she thought with a pang of regret. Oh no, Alan's gone. But when she got to his room, she felt sick in the pit of her stomach. But she delved into the back of his closet anyway. She soon found what she was looking for, tucked behind a modern science set and a slew of old trophies. The old steel kit was near perfect, and she sighed as she slid it into her backpack. Foomph. Francine nearly hit the ceiling when a waxed canvas sack fell from the top of the shelf and smacked down at her feet. Her heart was thumping like crazy as she braced the wall to catch her breath. Several seconds later, only after looking around one more time in paranoia, she unfolded the top of the sack to reveal a jet-black substance which smelled of metal and burnt steak. Holy shit, she mouthed, as she hefted what she thought was about a 10-pound bag. What was Alan doing with this much gunpowder? She pondered as she carefully wrapped it in a few sweaters and placed it gently in her bag before zipping it gingerly and hefting the now substantial pack. She would have bounded down the stairs in excitement had she not turned around to find a man in a dark screen jumpsuit standing behind her. He wore a mask that looked like melted candle wax and held an aluminum bat lax in his left hand. Ooh, shoot, it's escalating. He seemed to be considering her, looking her up and down, almost too disinterested to make the first move. For a second, she considered the second-story window behind her, then decided to pretend she had to head for it, moved back, and lunged forward in a feint. Her plan was to rush past him and down the stairs, but the man didn't fall for the trap. He instead let her breeze right past him, only to spin around and plant his boot in her back as soon as she reached the landing. Exactly, the plot. That's the goal. Wild wig readings, I'll call them. But the man didn't fall for the trap. He instead let her breeze right, blah, blah, blah. Francine only hit 4 of the 12 steps on the way down. The first 2 were cushioned by her pack. The last 2 crushed her wrist and bludgeoned her skull with a sharp thwack. And with the last stare, her vision went white, but she could feel the cold stone floor beneath her shoulder, and hear the sickly gurgle as she puked onto her chest. For a minute, everything seemed still. The white she saw rang with violin tones, and her body felt as if it were floating through a weightless space, as if there wasn't a man slowly descending the stairs towards her, as if the smell of vomit and blood were far away, and in this moment, the only moment, Francine could finally rest. Oh boy. The rough hands gently brushing back her hair, then gripping her throat, brought her to. She opened her eyes to meet the creature's brown ones, staring through her. She was like a stain on the tile, causing mild annoyance. Her legs started to kick, and she tried to bring up her hands, but her right arm was trapped beneath him, and her left hand hit the inside of his thigh. She gurgled. The broken wrist gave a throb of pain so strong she would have vomited again, had his hands not been blocking her airway. She tried her best to buck and thrash away, but her body felt weak, like only half her mind still remained, with the signal too weak to get through to her aching limbs. She looked down, because the melting made his gaze, because meeting his gaze made his winning more terrible. He looked as though he could care less. Is that it? His eyes seemed to mutter. As her eyes drifted down, she spotted the gold-butt cap of the chisel in her right pocket. With renewed vigor, she tried to heave oxygen into her lungs before shoving her broken hand against the thing's crotch, across her body, sending her brain searing with a cacophony of pain. She fingered the end of the handle before teasing it into her palm, then rammed it up inside the mask with all the force she could muster. A sploosh of red wax came cascading from the bottom of the mask as she dropped her chisel. The man stumbled over her and thudded against something out of sight. As she grasped and crawled towards the next room, her vision was pulsing and fishbowled as she grabbed for the tool and turned around. The thing had crumpled against the floor. And was breathing fast and shallow, blood pooling into its upturned hands. It looked as though it were shrugging. Francine struggled up the wall, never taking her eyes off the creature, then shook her right arm to return the feeling and gripped the chisel tight. She could hear the downpour that had started outside, and she was glad for it. She hadn't even made it to the oak when George appeared. The technicolored wood seemed to throb and pitch out of control as she collapsed onto her arms and drifted into that delirium. She imagined him carrying her back into the yellow gold warmth of the Finnegan. She woke up to the crackle of the CB radio and the smell of pickled fish. Through a haze, she could see George across the room, working a long, shapely board in a vise, taking careful shavings with a plane before eyeing it critically, marking along the edge and repeating the process on the other side. She watched that for what seemed like hours. She wasn't sure. What did she know? What she did know is that hunger tore at her guts and the dull ache in her head. Slowly she closed her eyes, then opened them up again to clear her vision. Thank you. You're finally awake. George was suddenly over her somehow, smelling of maple and glue. It looks like for real this time, he smiled and went on to the kitchenette, coming back with a steaming bowl. It's not fish, is it? Francine winced and wrinkled her nose as he set it down beside her. No, he chuckled as he set it across from her. It's mushroom and leek. She sat up and took the bowl in her both hands. She sat down and took the bowl in both hands and was startled when her wrist gave a clunk. Looking down, she saw a wooden brace secured with leather straps and cushioned with wool. Blushing, she looked up at him. Thank you, George. It means a lot. I know... She paused. I know you were doing just fine before I got here and that I caused you a lot of trouble. I just want to say thank you for everything. It was George's turn to blush. He wouldn't even meet her eyes as he rubbed the thighs of his overalls and shyly smirked. I was stagnant. You helped me as much as I helped you. Well, what are friends for? She smiled and began to slurp her soup. For a few moments it was silent and warm. Two friends sat alone, and trouble did not knock at the door. nor play in their minds. It could have been any afternoon in fall. After school, but before dinner. Hours wasted on the bliss of burdenless youth. Oh, I almost forgot. George suddenly stood and rushed over to his workbench, fumbling a can of pencils before grabbing a sheet of paper and returning to his seat. I've been wondering for a while who you were going to recruit. I figured we couldn't ask at your building for the time being, and for the time being, Bitsy and Buster are out of the question. Then last night, wait, hold on. Francine put a hand to her head, struggling to remember. How long was I out? I don't really remember. George's face dropped from excitement to concern. A day, he said first, reluctance in his voice. But when Francine looked up, he faltered. More like 2. I set your wrist the first day. You threw up a lot, and all I could get you to take was broth. You woke up 10 or 15 times, but you were never really awake. He got quiet for a long moment. You would scream and ramble nonsense about rotting flesh and terrible eyes. A cold dread had settled over his face when he looked back to her. Feeling disturbed, Francine reached across the space between them and put a hand over his. I'm sorry, George. I don't remember any of that. Please, what were you saying about last night? He seemed to linger for a moment in the place he drifted to before startling back at her touch. Right. The tough customers. They put out a call. They're being held at some sort of work camp that was set up at Mountain Elementary. They couldn't talk for long. They didn't even think anyone was out here, but they have a plan. They just need help from the inside, if it's going to work. Then we should go. Francine was already looking for her pack as he stood and shook his head. They're supposed to contact me tonight so we can coordinate. Even if we already knew, it's too late tonight anyway. He pointed up at the metal contraption that dangled above his head. She'd never noticed it before. It was small and brass and had started clicking and whirring polyrhythms that made Francine think of abrupt and lurching dancers. They're already here, he sighed as he wandered back to his workbench. You should try to get some sleep. But there was no way that was happening. Instead, she stayed up perusing his book collection, probing him about the things he had made and what he thought would happen tomorrow. It was early in the morning when a warbled, punch-drunk voice came suddenly through the radio. Both their packs were heavy with weapons and gear. Page break. I'm reading a Arthur fanfic, like Arthur the cartoon with the aardvark. Yeah. Alright. Both of their packs were heavy with weapons and gear. They had made good time in this early morning fog, and were only a few blocks from the school. Molly had informed them that they were kept in a portable near the edge. Oh no. There we go. Both of their packs were heavy with weapons and gear. They had made good time in the early morning fog and were only a few blocks from the school. Molly had informed them that they were kept in a portable near the edge of the barbed wire fence, and that they should be at the edge of the fence by 5:30, half an hour before the guards usually escorted them to their shift. Hunkered down behind a small house, George unloaded some tightly coiled cubes of brown and wretched-smelling newspaper, as well as a few small capped pipes with short, thick fuses. I hope we don't need these ones. He eyed the bombs with caution as he placed them on a folded sweatshirt. Then he leaned 2 short bows and a few arrows fletched with duct tape against the house's foundation. I wish I had you backing me up on this, he grumbled, and wrung out his hands, already red and sweaty. I'm more likely to hit you than anything else. Francine could see his anxiety building. Francine could see his anxiety building in the way that he wouldn't stop pitching his head from side to side or blinking twice the usual amount. She grabbed him by the shoulders. Hopefully you won't have to. I'm the fastest runner in town, and if all goes to plan, they won't see me coming. She shot him a reassuring smile and slapped his shoulder. If it all goes to plan, George whispered with no small note of sarcasm. Plus, Francine added as she rearranged the bag of newspapers on his shoulder and retied her laces, even if you were the best shot in the world, you'd still only have 4 arrows. She winked, then looked off towards the fence. She cackled at her own joke as she ran, passing the portable and continuing down to the other end about 200 meters away. She had only stopped to light a few papers when which once ablaze released the abundance of thick and acrid smoke. She tossed these over the fence and started at a half pace back towards their mark. Once there, she threw the last of her papers, then reached deep into the bottom of her bag for the bolt cutters. Fetch the bolt cutters. She was halfway done with a hole big enough to slip through when she heard a commotion down the fence line. But the smoke was a solid wall of choking black tar, far too thick to see through, and all she really knew was that the tough customers were late. She looked back and saw George, with a badly notched arrow, looking intense and twitching his head back and forth like a deer. Panic was starting to creep as she eyed the smoke, searching for figures and finding too many that weren't really there. Finally, 5 people burst through the portable's doors. At first she thought it was a trap and almost tried to run, but she would recognize Molly's flaming red hair anywhere, even when perched on top of a sickly thin face covered in mud and bruises. She held the wire open as the group passed through, George waving them over violently, and when Binky brought up the rear, she quickly laced a bike cable through the fence wound and locked it. They reached the back of the house by the time she heard the chain link start to rattle and chime, so she grabbed a few of the papers they had left and hucked them burning into the street. "Get those pipes ready," she whispered harshly over her shoulder. George hastily handed the last of the weapons to the group and gently collected the pipes as they speed walked to the corner of the house. He turned as he struck the match and nodded at the group to run. As he caught up with them, they could hear the slamming of feet to concrete, and half of them had turned to see a few men rounding the corner of the house at breakneck speed. The second later, the bombs went off. Bang! The initial blast was deafening, and it seemed to echo endlessly between the tight suburban housing. For a second, Francine and the others slowed, but quickened their pace as soon as they saw the limping figures emerge from the smoke. They made it almost a mile before slowing again, picking silently up side streets and down alleys to avoid being easy prey. The less direct path home was at a slower pace 8 away the day. Wait, what? I lost my place. Oh, 8 away the day. But it was into the afternoon when George gave a heavy sigh. We're close now. They entered the woods far to the west of where Francine usually did, and she was glad he knew where they were going. But as they neared Finnegan, he stopped abruptly and motioned for them to crouch beside the tall bramble. When Francine turned to question him, her eyes filled with terror. "They're never this early," he whispered, and pointed into the woods. She followed his finger and saw several faraway figures ambling in a group towards the trees. "Hey," light-skinned Prince Chad. "They're right on top of it," he shrieked through his clenched teeth. Binky's large hands came to rest on each of his shoulders, grasping them in solidarity. "You and Sue Ellen have bows, and we all know how to fight." He winked good-naturedly at Francine. If we sneak up as close as we can, they won't know what hit them." Francine nodded, and George swallowed a mouthful of bile. Luck seemed to favor them. The winds picked up as they moved, and the rattle and crash of falling leaves masked the sound of their approach. When they'd come a fair distance, George and Sue Ellen each notched an arrow and lined up a shot, while the others drew their clubs and knives and braced for the attack. But then, without warning, Sue Ellen's bow snapped in her hands, and with a loud thwack, and George's arrow flew uselessly to the far left of the group. The men and women in green jumpsuits turned slowly towards the group, who had frozen at the startling failure of their plan. Knives and hatchets were pulled from pockets and belts, and when a woman slipped a revolver from her boot, Wink panicked and whirled. The rest of the group was startled by his sudden scream. "Fuck!" They'd been surrounded. Several more were behind them now, each a blank and melted face of horror. The two groups began to close ranks around the friends, who looked at each other helpless and shocked. There was only one choice now, and they all knew the price would be high. Just as Binky set loose a battle cry and brandished his club, the head of the nearest capture pulped into the air with the sound of a firecracker. Her mask came away to reveal a mass of gore, and her limp body slumped to the freshly fallen leaves. The creature twisted in fear as two more fell, just as suddenly in a din of cracking gunfire. The friends surged forward at the chance. Francine slashed and stabbed at the confused, woody torso of one man, bringing forth a wet and gurgling scream as he attempted to run away, but was met with a large rock wielded by Slink. George loosed an arrow that found a home in another man's thigh, distracting him long enough for Molly to bring down her hammer with a grotesque crack. Francine turned to yell in excitement at George, when she caught the barrel of a revolver in her eye. She screamed as her hands flew instinctively up to her face. Then felt a fist bury itself so deep in her gut her spine shuddered, and she fell to one knee. This is very well written action. She peered through the fingers at the woman as she leveled the gun, closed her eyes as she heard the rapport. Wait. She peered through her fingers at the woman as she leveled the gun, then closed her eyes as she heard the rapport. She drew a ragged breath, and when she opened them again, she saw a man in silhouette, standing over a crumpled corpse. The dying light stained his outline in red, and the words came out shaky and hopeful from his mouth. Frankie? Holy shit. That was a brilliantly written first chapter. How was that? How do you write that and then not touch it for 2 years? Hasn't been updated since December 3rd, 2020. And only has 116 hits. Like, that was just the first chapter, and they haven't updated. Stretch. Ooh. Oh, a tweak in my back. Ooh. Take it. I know, it had no business being that good, and now I'm like, I feel cheated. Like, that was so good, why did you just stop? Yes, it was Arthur. I gotta see if this person wrote anything else. That was freakishly well written for what it was. No, this is the only thing they've ever written. They wrote one chapter, and then they just... No, I haven't read The Big Meat. And then they just disappeared. What happened? That was so well written. Google Jesus Fuentes on LinkedIn. There's multiple Jose Fuentes. I know, it's upsetting, really. Well, that was pretty good. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you for joining the stream, and I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm confused by that.